All good things must come to an end, but some good things come to an end more than once. These TV shows ended up on the chopping block multiple times. Taxi premiered on ABC all the way back in 1978, featuring a cast of current and future stars of the late 70s and early 80s as a collective of New York City taxi drivers. The show starred the likes of Judd Hirsch, Danny DeVito, Christopher Lloyd, Tony Danza, Mary Lou Henner, and Andy Kaufman. In hindsight, the show seemed too big to fail, and in reality, it actually was too big to fail. Taxi ran for 4 seasons until 1982, racking up Emmy wins and nominations and becoming one of ABC's biggest commercial successes. It seems ludicrous that ABC would ever cancel the program, which was a sentiment echoed at the time, with creator James L. Brooks telling the Washington Post, "The one thing that's clear from this is that the network is saying to everybody, don't think Emmys will do you any good when it comes to scheduling." After HBO declined to pick up the series, NBC came to the rescue, restoring Taxi to its original time slot of Thursday nights following their hit sitcom Cheers. Sadly, the ratings failed to live up to NBC's expectations, resulting in its second cancellation after only one additional season in 1983. However, most of the cast got to briefly reunite to film reenactments of taxi scenes with Jim Carrey when the comedian starred in the 1999 biopic Man on the Moon as Andy Kaufman. Most television audiences became aware of Cagney Lacey as a police procedural that aired from 1982 to 1988 on CBS, starring Sharon Gless and Tyne Daly as detectives juggling their complex personal lives with crime solving in New York City. However, most people only know its resurrected state. It originally debuted as a pilot in 1981, starring Loretta Swit in the role of Cagney alongside Daly, while Meg Foster took over the role when it was ordered to a 6-episode first season in 1982. Following the show's first season, CBS pulled it from their lineup, citing poor ratings and audiences not connecting with the two characters' aggression. This decision by the network resulted in backlash from audiences, while the show's executive producer, Barney Rosenzweig, tried to renegotiate to get the show put back on the air. Their compromise was to recast Foster with Sharon Gless, who was previously the first choice to play Cagney. The second season premiered to a rocky start, with the show getting canceled for a second time in 1983, but fan outcry eventually got it picked up for a third season, which saw it receive a boost in the ratings. Gless and Daly proved to be a dynamic on-screen duo, resulting in the show lasting another 4 seasons before CBS canceled it for good in 1988 after a ratings decline, leaving its season 7 cliffhanger unresolved. Although a rebooted pilot in 2018 couldn't get off the ground at CBS, the show did see 4 TV movies since its cancellation.
What? That's bogus, man. This is public property. You can't tell us where to surf.
Wrong, pal. You endangered lives. It's my call. You're out of here.
It's hard to believe that a show like Baywatch, which continues to hold the record for the largest TV audience of all time, ever struggled to grab the attention of audiences. Premiering on NBC in 1989, the show starred an ensemble cast featuring David Hasselhoff and Pamela Anderson, who would go on to become some of the biggest celebrities of the 1990s. However, after its first season aired, NBC quickly put it to bed due to poor ratings and reviews. However, its reruns in countries like Germany and the UK saved the show, as broadcasting company LBS Communications revived Baywatch in 1991. Baywatch continued to air in its original form for 10 additional seasons throughout the 90s. After its 9th season in 1999, the show was restructured, recast, relocated to Hawaii, and rebranded as Baywatch Hawaii to save costs. As one would expect, the massive overhaul of Baywatch Hawaii didn't sit well with audiences at the time, with the show facing a steep decline in ratings until it was canceled in 2001, after 11 seasons. However, the Baywatch brand has lived on through spin-off series, a 2003 film, as well as a 2017 film starring Dwayne Johnson, Zac Efron, and Alexandra Daddario that was panned by reviewers for many of the same reasons the original Baywatch series never garnered critical acclaim.
The truth is out there, but so are lies.
The X-Files was a game-changer for science fiction television, becoming one of the first shows of the 1990s to gain a cult fan base through the early internet. Starring David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson as FBI agents investigating paranormal occurrences, The X-Files premiered on Fox in 1993 and quickly rose to become the cult phenomenon that it currently is. However, the show didn't maintain its well-deserved praise forever. The 9th season of The X-Files, which aired between 2001 and 2002, was victim to a drop in ratings and poor reviews from television critics, who cited the series' lackluster writing compared to its earlier, more inspired seasons. Fox pulled the plug on the series, though its creator Chris Carter blamed the series' cancellation on audiences' unwillingness to watch a show about conspiracies and corruption in the wake of the September 11 terrorist attacks, telling Gizmodo, "There was lots more we could have done, but we ended at the right time." To the delight of many hardcore fans, Fox gave The X-Files a second chance in 2016, reviving it for a 10th season with Duchovny and Anderson returning. The two actors also returned for an 11th season, but following its conclusion, Anderson officially parted ways with the show. This brought the series to a premature end for a second time, as the creators currently have no intention to continue on without Dana Scully. Seventh Heaven was a late hit of the 1990s, premiering in 1996. The series, which centers on a Protestant family living in California with 7 kids of varying ages, quickly became a hit on the WB network. However, the series was subject to network shakeups in 2006 after the WB was shut down during a merger with the United Paramount Network to form a new channel, the CW. During the change, the WB canceled Seventh Heaven after 10 seasons, mostly due to the series' high production costs and dwindling ratings compared to the WB's other series like Gilmore Girls and Smallville. Additionally, some of the show's biggest stars, such as Jessica Biel and Barry Watson, had left the show in its later seasons and were unlikely to return. However, once the ratings spiked following the announcement of the show's ending, the CW made the surprising decision to pick Seventh Heaven back up for an 11th season to seize on the opportunity. Sadly, this decision didn't last long at the CW. The series was once again canceled by the network in 2007 after the end of the season. Even the show's cast members have shot down recent queries about a possible revival as recently as 2023, due to controversies amongst some of the other cast members. Matt Groening is best known as the co-creator of The Simpsons, the simultaneous longest-running animated series and American sitcom on television. However, he also garnered a cult fanbase for his second animated series, Futurama, which premiered in 1999 on Fox. Futurama centers on Philip J. Fry, a pizza delivery man who is mistakenly cryogenically frozen and reawakens 1,000 years later, where he's hired by an intergalactic delivery company alongside an eccentric ensemble of characters. Compared to The Simpsons, the lifespan of Futurama on Fox was short-lived due to its inconsistent airtime, resulting in its cancellation in 2002.
Yes, I'm afraid the brainless drones who run the network canceled our license.
It wasn't until years later, after the show had gained a second life through syndicated reruns and 4 direct-to-video movies, that Futurama was picked up for its 5th season by Comedy Central, who continued to air it for an additional 2 seasons after that. However, the show was never on solid ground on Comedy Central, producing several possible series finales until 2013, when its actual finale, meanwhile, aired on the network. Until recently, Futurama was thought to be long dead, but the impossible happened in 2022, when Hulu ordered a revival of the series to air on their streaming service. However, this revival news came with controversy after voice actor John DiMaggio threatened to not reprise his role as Bender without a pay raise for the entire cast. Fortunately, once a new deal was worked out, DiMaggio did end up returning. Family Guy was the brainchild of voice actor Seth MacFarlane, centering on the Rhode Island-based Griffin family and their various antics. Its first season was subject to good ratings in 1999, but when its second season saw a decline in 2000, Fox abruptly canceled the show, only to revive it for a 3rd season a few months later. Once Family Guy struggled to maintain high ratings for its 3rd season, Fox canceled it yet again in 2002 and sold the rights to Cartoon Network, who began airing reruns of the program on their late-night Adult Swim programming block. It slowly gained more attention from Adult Swim's audiences, and thanks to the additional sales of DVDs, Family Guy was revived by Fox for a second time in 2004. Thankfully, MacFarlane kept an optimistic outlook about the show's ups and downs, telling the Calgary Sun, "We really wanted to keep the show exactly as it was." Since its 4th season return in 2005, Family Guy has remained a staple of the Fox network and a consistent success. As of 2023, Family Guy has aired a total of 21 seasons, and MacFarlane has remained a part of the show's voice cast. Debuting on ABC in 2001, Scrubs starred Zach Braff as JD, the daydreaming medical intern at Sacred Heart Hospital, who pines for his fellow intern Elliot Reed, played by Sarah Chalk. The show's early seasons were beloved by critics and fans alike, with Entertainment Weekly saying of it in 2006, "A likable, daffy, buoyant series that would be a big annoying mess if it weren't done just right. Scrubs is the very definition of nimble." However, Scrubs hit a brick wall when the Writers Guild of America went on strike from 2007 to 2008, shortchanging its 7th season by 7 episodes, and ultimately dooming it to cancellation due to production being stalled. After a period of not knowing if Scrubs would continue airing, ABC picked the show up for its 8th season. While this would be seen as a victory by some, it would soon become bittersweet when it was announced that Braff intended to depart from the show's main cast at the end of the season.
Sometimes when you get what you want, you end up missing what you left behind.
Scrubs returned for its 9th season in 2009, featuring a predominantly new cast of medical students at Winston University. Though Braff appeared in 6 of the season's 13 episodes, fans were adamantly opposed to the vast changes in the show's formula. Eventually, ABC announced that Scrubs was canceled in 2010, with Braff telling his Facebook followers, "It was worth a try, but alas, it didn't work." Thankfully, the world of internet meme culture has kept Arrested Development alive longer than any network could. Created by Mitch Hurwitz, Arrested Development premiered on Fox in 2003, led by Jason Bateman's Michael Bluth, the son of a corrupt real estate developer who struggles to keep his family of narcissistic, delusional, and financially struggling socialites together. The show boasted one of the strongest ensembles in TV history, including David Cross, Will Arnett, and Jessica Walter, as well as up-and-comers Aaliyah Shawkat and Michael Cera. After 3 seasons of low ratings on Fox, Arrested Development was canceled by the network, but Hurwitz was determined to find a second home for the series.
I don't think the Home Builders Organization is going to be supporting us.
Yeah, the HBO is not going to want us. What do we do now?
Well, I think it's showtime.
After years of failed starts and rumors of a film, Arrested Development was finally revived by Netflix, which aired a 4th season in 2013, featuring the entire returning cast. However, due to the conflicting schedules of the show's cast, the season was structured to make each episode focus on an individual character, with plot lines intersecting throughout the episodes. Arrested Development remained dormant for many more years after the divisive 4th season. It wasn't until 2018 that the show finally returned for the first half of its 5th season, with the second half released in 2019. By this point, tensions off-screen became tiresome for the cast, including an incident of Jeffrey Tambor's abusive on-set behavior. That, mixed with the unfortunate passing of Walter in 2021, means that Arrested Development is probably gone for good.
Show's gonna last 3 weeks! 6 seasons and a movie!
Although Community captured a dedicated fan base from its very first episode, behind the scenes, the show struggled to stay on the air. The NBC sitcom premiered in 2009, starring Joel McHale as an ex-lawyer forced to attend community college, where he befriends a study group of misfits and outcasts in an ensemble including Gillian Jacobs, Allison Brie, Donald Glover, and Chevy Chase. The show was created by future Rick and Morty co-creator Dan Harmon, who was the main catalyst for the show's off-screen troubles. After a public feud with Chase over disagreements with the show's direction, Harmon was fired from season 4 of Community, only to be rehired after Chase himself left the show. Harmon returned for season 5 of Community, but by that point it was too little too late, and Community found itself on NBC's chopping block in 2014. However, after adopting the tagline 6 seasons and a movie from a previous episode, fans were determined to find the sitcom a new home. Community found its saving grace in Yahoo Screen, which ordered a 6th season of the show, though by this point both Glover and Yvette Nicole Brown had departed from the cast, with others eyeing their post-Community futures. Although some involved insisted that Community was not canceled, Yahoo Screen shut down in 2016, canning the series' future. To the delight of all Community fans, the long-awaited movie was finally confirmed in 2022 to be happening. Cougar Town marked a triumphant return to the sitcom format for Courtney Cox, who rose to fame by playing Monica on NBC's Friends from 1994 to 2004. On Cougar Town, Cox plays Jules, a recent divorcee re-exploring dating in her 40s, with an ensemble of her friends played by Dan Bird, Busy Phillips, and Krista Miller. The show premiered on ABC in 2009, though faced many setbacks in its run, including producers requesting a name change. Its biggest setback, however, came after the 3rd season, when ABC removed it from their mid-season schedule, priming the producers for a potential cancellation. These predictions came to fruition, but Cougar Town was thankfully saved by TBS, who picked it up for a 4th season in 2013, and then subsequently renewed it for a 5th and 6th season.
I honestly thought we might never be in this kitchen again. Just hanging out, telling our stories to each other, to the world.
Sadly, for fans of the single-camera sitcom, TBS opted to end its renewals after the 6th season, rendering that the final season of Cougar Town after it finished airing in 2015. Though the show was more prepared than most for its series finale, that doesn't mean the cast wasn't disappointed that the show wouldn't continue on TBS. As Josh Hopkins, who played Grayson in the show, told Variety, "I'm going to miss seeing those people every day. But I just think what a great experience it was, rather than be sad that it's over." Nashville premiered on ABC in 2012, centering on Hayden Panettiere as a rising country star named Juliette Barnes, who threatens the power of Connie Britton's Raina James. The biggest draw to Nashville naturally was its music. The show included original songs and covers that were distributed by Big Machine Records, the same Nashville label that formerly supported Taylor Swift's rise to country stardom in the early 2000s. Sadly, Nashville was abruptly canceled by ABC after its 4th season. The announcement came shortly after ABC confirmed that the show would be heralded by new showrunners, which meant that it would be renewed for a 5th season. However, the renewal didn't come very quickly, so the show's fans resorted to an online campaign to bring the show back to life after many were disappointed at where the 4th season left the series off. The show was revived on the CMT network in 2016, a more than appropriate home for the show. Season 5 of Nashville premiered in 2016, but fans were even more shocked by the series' turn of events, which saw Connie Britton's character killed off in the first half of the season. Though the show was renewed for a final 6th season, which aired in 2018, CMT opted to not keep it going beyond that point. The future seemed hopeful for Designated Survivor when it began. Starring Kiefer Sutherland as a man designated as next in line for the US presidency after a terrorist attack kills everybody ahead of him in the line of succession, the show premiered in 2016 on ABC with lots of network support behind it. Rather than have a pilot ordered like most shows typically do, Designated Survivor was ordered straight to series and was renewed for a 2nd season within a week of its 1st season finale airing. However, in a business decision almost as jarring as the show's initial order, ABC abruptly canceled Designated Survivor in 2018 after a high turnover of showrunners and difficult production scheduling failed to meet the network's expectations. However, Netflix opted to renew the show for a 3rd season themselves, as they had already handled the distribution of Designated Survivor to international markets. Following its 3rd season, Netflix ultimately made the decision to not renew Designated Survivor any further, with the company thanking Sutherland and the crew for creating a satisfying final season. Designated Survivor wasn't lucky enough to be revived beyond the 2nd chance that Netflix gave it.
Well, I really screwed that up, didn't I?
However, most fans of the series are more than satisfied with how it ended. As far as network science fiction television shows go, Timeless had quite an interesting premise, focusing on a trio traveling through time to stop a terrorist organization from altering historical events. Timeless was eventually canceled by the network after the end of its 1st season. Timeless sadly suffered from poor ratings during its run on NBC. Fans clamored for the show to be revived by another network, but to the surprise of the series' creators, Timeless was renewed 3 days later by NBC themselves, albeit with a downsized episode order at only 10 episodes. However, this revival didn't last long, as NBC canceled the show yet again in 2018 after the 2nd season ended. This time around, Timeless fans didn't have to wait too long to see the series properly conclude. In their 2nd change of mind, NBC ordered a 2-part finale to wrap up the series, airing as a Christmas special in 2018, and featuring the time-traveling trio rewinding to the Hungnam evacuation during the Korean War, which occurred during Christmas in 1950. Thankfully, this 2-part finale was more than enough for fans to say goodbye to the series that ran longer than NBC wanted it to.